Dear friends, today I want to talk to you about a topic that touches the deepest strings of our souls. Each of us has at least once asked the question, why do the souls of our departed loved ones come to some people but not to others? Why does someone constantly feel the presence of their loved ones, while others wait for even the slightest sign for years? I know how hard it is to lose loved ones. I know how much we miss their voices, smiles, and embraces. Sometimes it seems that the whole world has stopped, and the emptiness in our hearts will never be filled. In those moments, any sign from the departed becomes a priceless gift, capable of warming the soul and giving us the strength to carry on. Many of you have written to me about your experiences communicating with the souls of loved ones. Some have shared unusual dreams, others strange coincidences, while others have experienced sudden feelings of a loved one's presence. And each time, the same question resonates in these stories. Why me? Why at this moment? I have studied this question for a long time, talked to people who have had similar experiences, consulted spiritual mentors and researchers of paranormal phenomena. And today, I want to share with you what I have come to understand. Believe me, there's nothing frightening or mystical about it. On the contrary, understanding how souls choose whom to come to can bring comfort and help reconnect with those we hold dear. Perhaps right now, someone among you is waiting for a message from a loved one. Someone may be doubting the reality of the signs received, and someone is afraid to even admit to themselves that they feel the presence of a departed relative. I want you to know there is nothing strange or wrong about this. The connection between souls is an amazing phenomenon that has always existed in all cultures and religions of the world. Let's try to understand together how this mysterious choice occurs, what it depends on, and what we can do to be more open to such contact. When we talk about how souls choose who to visit after leaving the physical world, it is important to understand that this process is much more complex than it may seem at first glance. It is not just a random phenomenon or a whim of the otherworldly. Behind each such choice lies a whole complex of factors that we can attempt to understand. Imagine that the soul, after transitioning, has a special vision. It is capable of distinguishing between those who are ready for contact and those who cannot or do not want to accept it yet. It is like tuning a radio. To hear the desired wave, you need to set the frequency precisely. In this way, souls seek those who are on the same energetic wavelength as them. Many researchers of paranormal phenomena note that the ability of the soul to establish contact with the living depends on several key points. First, it is the emotional readiness of the person to accept such contact. Second, the degree of spiritual openness and receptiveness. And third, the presence of unfinished business or unspoken words between the soul and the person. Interestingly, modern science is also beginning to pay attention to these phenomena. Scientists from different countries are conducting studies on cases of contact with the souls of the deceased. They note that such contacts most often occur with people who are in a special emotional state, not in extreme grief, but rather in a state of gentle sadness and acceptance. Souls are capable of sensing this readiness. They see when a person has overcome the initial acute phase of grief and reached a level of acceptance where contact can bring comfort instead of new pain. This is why signs from the departed often do not come immediately after their passing, but after some time, when we have already somewhat recovered from the loss. It is important to understand that the absence of clear signs does not mean that the soul has forgotten about us or does not want to communicate. Sometimes the reason may be that we ourselves are not yet ready for such an experience, or that we simply do not notice the subtle signals being sent to us. The significance of the emotional connection between souls cannot be overstated. This is vividly demonstrated in the story of Margaret from a small town in Texas. After 42 years of life together, she lost her husband, but their connection turned out to be so strong that it continues even after his passing. Margaret often feels her husband's presence in their shared home, especially at those moments when she engages in his favorite activity, working in the garden. Such a deep emotional bond is formed over years of shared life, mutual joys and sorrows, and countless moments together. It is like an invisible bridge between souls that is not destroyed even after the physical departure of a loved one. Moreover, sometimes this connection becomes even stronger, as if freeing itself from material limitations. Unfinished business and unfulfilled promises play a special role in the choice of a soul. For example, in the case of the Roberts family from Minnesota, their father began appearing in the dreams of the eldest son after he decided to sell the family business. In life, the father had made a promise to his son to preserve the business, and now his soul was trying to remind him of this important obligation. It is interesting to note that the strength of an emotional bond does not always depend on the amount of time spent together. Sometimes a short but intense connection leaves a deeper mark than years of formal communication. This is clearly illustrated by Elizabeth from Florida, who constantly feels the presence of her friend, with whom she was acquainted for only 3 years, but went through a difficult period of fighting illness together. Souls often choose those with whom they have unfinished gestalts, unspoken words of love, unresolved grievances, unmade confessions. It acts like an anchor, keeping them close to the living until that important realization or forgiveness occurs. In such moments, souls may manifest themselves particularly clearly, trying to reach out to a loved one and help them let go of the heavy burden of the past. It is important to remember that emotional connection is a two-way street. The more open we are to contact, the more honestly we acknowledge our feelings and needs, the easier it is for souls to find a way to convey their messages of love and support to us. The story of John from Florida perfectly illustrates how important our own receptiveness is for contacting the souls of our loved ones. Throughout his life, being a convinced skeptic, he had not noticed any signs from his deceased mother, even though other family members often talked about unusual events and sensations. But one day, during a particularly difficult time in his life, John decided to let go of his skepticism and simply trust his feelings. And it was then that amazing things began to happen. Receptiveness to contact with the souls of our loved ones largely depends on our inner state. When we are immersed in daily chaos, always rushing and being stressed, our consciousness becomes like cloudy glass. It is practically impossible to see anything clearly through it. But once we stop, calm down, and listen to ourselves, the picture changes. An interesting case occurred with Nurse Mary from Ohio. Working in a hospice, she often faced death, but she approached it solely in a professional manner. However, after she began practicing meditation and dedicating time to spiritual development, she started to notice how the souls of recently departed patients sometimes came to say goodbye or thank her for her care. It is important to understand that receptivity does not mean constantly expecting a miracle or a sign. On the contrary, it is a state of calm acceptance and readiness. It is like tuning a delicate musical instrument. Excessive effort can only hinder the process. It is easier for souls to establish contact with those who are in a state of inner balance. Many people note that they begin to receive signs from their loved ones precisely at times when they stop persistently searching for them. This is similar to the way we try to remember something important. The more we strain to recall, the further the memory slips away. But once we relax and let go of the situation, the information we need comes to us effortlessly. Receptivity is also connected to our ability to trust our feelings. We often receive signs from the souls of our loved ones, but we immediately begin to rationalize them, explaining them away as coincidences or products of our imagination. This is why it is so important to learn to trust our inner voice and intuition. The time and place for contact with the souls of our loved ones play a special role. According to the experiences of many people, such meetings most often occur on significant dates or in places filled with special memories. The story of Sarah from Arizona is a vivid example of this. Every year on her grandmother's birthday, she goes to the old garden where they once grew roses together. And every time, she feels a special presence, as if her grandmother continues to care for her beloved flowers. Souls often choose places for contact that are associated with the most vivid shared memories. This can be a family home, a favorite bench in the park, the shore of a lake where summer weekends were spent, or even just the kitchen where a loved one enjoyed preparing their signature dishes. In such places, the boundary between worlds becomes thinner, making it easier for souls to convey their messages to us. Certain dates also hold special significance. They are not just birthdays or anniversaries of passing, but also holidays that were important to the departed person. The Anderson family from Minnesota feels the presence of Grandma Betty every Christmas Eve, who in life always prepared a special family dinner and decorated the home. Now her soul seems to continue participating in this tradition, creating a sense of warmth and unity. Interestingly, contact often occurs in the pre-dawn hours or at sunset, in the so-called liminal moments of the day. Many people note that it is precisely during these times that they feel the presence of their departed loved ones most acutely. Perhaps this is related to the fact that in such moments, our consciousness is in a special state, more receptive to subtle energies. Sometimes souls choose completely unexpected places and moments for contact. Jennifer from Oregon recounts how she once felt her father's presence in an entirely random cafe where she had never been before. Later, it turned out that it was her father's favorite place in his youth, of which she was unaware. Such cases demonstrate that souls can lead us to discover new chapters in the history of our loved ones, helping us to better understand and feel them. The souls of our loved ones choose various ways to let us know about their presence. The most common method is through dreams. It is in dreams that our consciousness is most open to contact, and the protective barriers of the mind are weakened. The Thompson family from Georgia shares an amazing story. After their father's passing, all three children saw him in a dream on the same night, and he conveyed an important personal message to each of them. Physical signs are another way in which souls communicate. These can be unexpected finds of old photographs or mementos, a sudden scent of the favorite perfume or cigarettes of the departed person, the inexplicable playing of favorite music, or the appearance of special items. One woman from California recounts how, after the passing of her husband, she began to find coins from the very year they met. These discoveries always happened at moments when she particularly needed support. Sometimes souls manifest themselves through natural phenomena. White butterflies, unusual behavior of birds, sudden gusts of wind on a calm day, all these can be ways to draw our attention. David from Arizona shared a story about how after his mother's passing, a hummingbird began to regularly visit the window of his office, precisely at those moments when he was thinking about her and needing advice. Electrical devices often become conduits for contact as well. Flickering lights, televisions, or radios turning on spontaneously. Strange behavior of mobile phones. These can be attempts by the soul to attract attention. It is important to note that such manifestations usually do not provoke fear. On the contrary, they create a sense of the presence of a loving being. Sometimes souls use other people as intermediaries, especially children or very sensitive individuals. A little granddaughter might suddenly say something that was known only to you and the departed person, or a stranger on the street might utter a phrase that was special to both of you. Such coincidences are not random. They are a carefully chosen way to convey a message. Each soul chooses the method of contact that resonates most with the character of the person in life and is most comprehensible to the one for whom the message is intended. It is important to be attentive to such signs, but not to become obsessed with searching for them. We are often asked if there is a way to help the souls of our loved ones find contact with us. The experience of many people shows that there are certain actions that can facilitate this connection. First and foremost, it is important to create a calm, harmonious atmosphere around yourself. This could be a quiet room with dim lighting, a favorite song of the departed person, or simply a place where you feel at peace. Meditation and prayer are powerful tools for establishing contact. It is not necessary to adhere to strict religious canons. It is enough to find time for a quiet conversation with the soul of your loved one. Share your feelings, express your experiences as you did during their life. Souls find it easier to make contact when we are open and sincere in our emotions. It is important to learn to notice and accept even the smallest signs. Linda from Michigan shares how she long failed to notice her husband's presence until she began keeping a journal of unusual events. Only then did she see the pattern of how often she found feathers on her path, precisely on the days when she missed him most. Being ready for contact does not mean constantly expecting a miracle. On the contrary, it is a calm acceptance that the connection may manifest at the most unexpected moment. Souls often choose times for contact when we are preoccupied with daily activities, cooking dinner, working in the garden, or simply walking down the street. In such moments, our minds are less tense and more receptive to subtle signals. Many note that regularly engaging with mementos of a loved one helps strengthen the connection. This can include looking at photos, touching cherished items, or even cooking the departed person's favorite meals. Such actions create an emotional bridge between worlds, making it easier for souls to convey their messages to us. It is important to remember that each contact with the soul of a loved one is a gift that cannot be demanded or rushed. Our task is to create a space where such a meeting is possible and to remain open to this experience. At the same time, we need to be prepared for the fact that contact may come in forms we do not expect, and at times, we did not choose. In concluding our discussion on how souls choose whom to visit after passing, I want to address everyone who is waiting for a message from a loved one. Remember that the absence of clear signs does not mean that your loved one has forgotten about you or does not want to communicate. Perhaps their soul is reaching out to you so quietly and gently that you have not yet learned to recognize these signals. The connection between souls is a remarkable phenomenon that does not adhere to the ordinary laws of time and space. As shown by the experience of the Brownie family from New Jersey, even 20 years after their mother's passing, they continue to receive signs of support from her during the most important moments of their lives. This confirms that love truly is stronger than physical separation. It is important to understand that the process of communicating with the souls of loved ones is always a very personal experience. What works for some people may be completely irrelevant for others. Some receive clear messages through dreams, others notice subtle signs in daily life, and others simply feel an invisible presence and support. Do not be afraid to share your experiences with those who can understand and support you. In today's world, more and more people are openly sharing their stories of contact with the souls of their loved ones. This helps others not to feel alone in such experiences and gives hope to those who are still waiting for their sign. Remember that the most important gift we can offer the souls of our loved ones is to continue living life to the fullest, realize their dreams, and keep a bright memory of them in our hearts. This is what creates the special connection that allows souls to maintain contact with us. And if you are still waiting for a sign from a loved one, do not lose hope. Be open to different forms of contact and trust your feelings and intuition. Perhaps your loved one is already trying to reach out to you in the most unexpected ways. The main thing is to keep faith that love knows no boundaries, even those as significant as the boundary between worlds. May each of you find your own special way of communicating with the souls of your loved ones, and may this connection bring more light, love, and understanding into your life. Dear friends, thank you for being with me today. I hope this information has helped you better understand how the souls of our loved ones choose ways to communicate with us, and perhaps notice those signs that previously went unnoticed. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel. Click the bell to not miss new episodes. Your support helps us create more valuable content on the topics that matter to you. Until we meet again, take care of yourselves and your loved ones.